Hello and welcome to Ascension Moment show number 5. And this is the Moon Mama, aka Sufani. And I just wanted to talk a little bit. I had an awesome client today and we had a great conversation, and it reminded me of something that I learned a long time ago, but it's one of those things that you've implemented into your life so long ago that you don't really talk about it or think about it. And yet for other people, it's kind of a brand new teaching. And it was nice to have this conversation and have that remembrance of, an old teaching and way of life kind of being brought back to me again to really confirm the way that I live, and also just made me realize that I wanted to share this with other people. And the conversation that we were having was about, feeling at a certain point in your life that maybe you're not doing something that feels fulfilling to you, and that you have kind of this feeling that life should be more, that you should be, maybe that sense or that feeling that you're not doing what you feel you were meant to do. And you may not even know what that is. Usually you don't know what it is you're supposed to do. You just have this overwhelming sense that whatever you're doing is not fulfilling your destiny, because you want to feel some sense of connection in what you do, and maybe you're making money, or you're doing things that are creating success in the eyes of the world, and yet you feel kind of empty. And I had that feeling at one point in my life, and it made me kind of search out, what is it that I'm meant to do? And it was literally in asking the question that the universe kind of started to put things in place for me, to open my eyes up and to put what I was looking for in front of me. And so it was in asking the question. I think it's the awareness that there's something else that you feel you need to be doing, and then literally asking the question and thinking about it a lot. What is that thing that I can do, or that I'm meant to do? And so what's interesting about that is, moving forward, it became, I heard this phrase one time that was really cool, and it always stuck with me, and I can't remember exactly where it comes from. And it may sound, the words may sound religious, and maybe to some people it is, but it really is not a religious statement if you put it in a context. So the statement is, let your life be your missionary work. And when I thought about that, it was pretty profound to me, because what that means in essence is that everything that you're doing is a statement of purpose. Everything that you do, from, taking time to notice a coworker whose energy is low, and then actually seeing them and, maybe giving them a hug and saying hello, maybe going the extra mile, that little moment could have changed that person's entire day and even their outlook, because maybe they were feeling low and feeling like no one cares, and maybe starting to feel a little cynical about life. And then here you come, seeing them, noticing that there's something wrong, and without having a big conversation about it, you look them in the eyes, and then you see them, and then you give them a hug, and you give them what they needed. And without religion, without dogma, without even any discussion of spirituality, you had a spiritual moment, because you allowed your life to interact with another life, to create this moment of sharing of yourself and of seeing someone else. And there's so many ways in which, you can become a healer. One of the things that I talked about with my client, who is an economics teacher, he was saying, he teaches his kids about balance, where, most people talk about the gross national product, and, the money and the materialism and the success, and people who have money, people who don't have money, and how the world works and how business works. And business is monetarily driven. It's all about the money. And yet this teacher is actually using his life as his missionary work, because he is sharing of himself and perhaps his own experience in dealing with money and seeing things in the world and seeing the imbalance, and he's incorporating his teachings of balance mixed with his academic knowledge of economics. And he's using his life and sharing that that story with other people that he's teaching. Now he has exposure to, he said, 200 children. They're in high school. And these 200 children will then go out into the world and share their information with, no doubt, at some point in their life, at least one person. So that's another 200. So that's why I always say it's not important we focus on changing the world. It's all about changing people, because people are the world collectively. And it's too big to think about, doing these movements that change the world. It's more about changing, maybe a group of people, or one person at a time, or, if you're doing a lecture, talking to people and helping them understand different things. And those people in turn will turn around and do the same thing. And so no matter what you do in life, of course, you always want to do that thing where you feel like you are able to express your sense of connection and beingness with other human beings and animals and nature. But it doesn't matter what form. Like, not everybody's going to be a healer, as far as like traditionally. Not everyone's going to be a Reiki master in order to, have their life be their missionary work. Not everyone's going to be a doctor or a nurse or, something in healthcare directly related to other human beings and their body per se. But everyone can be a healer in what they do, because in every circumstance we're sharing information, and we're sharing that information through our life. And if we are focused on balance, then we can incorporate, a balanced viewpoint where the world may have one viewpoint and not really teach the other side of that. Maybe you look at what you do, what you do in a daily routine, and you figure out, what are the rules that I live by, and how do I incorporate them into my own life, and how can I share those things with other people who are either entering the workforce or just in general people living in the world. I tend to have these beautiful conversations with people, and I never feel that it's a mistake that they end up with me, because I always have something to impart to them that they needed to hear, and sometimes vice versa. Sometimes you're the teacher and the student at the same time, and it comes back to what one of the other Ascension Moment podcasts talked about, which was sharing of yourself. When you are willing to share of yourself, others will share with you, and they will impart their knowledge just as you are imparting yours. And if that knowledge is with the intent of a quality life and healing, and to use your life as your missionary work to move other people and to give people healing and love, you're going to have a very profound life no matter what you're doing. All things will have meaning in your life, and that will increase the sense of purpose that you feel that you are making a difference. And I think ultimately that's what it's about, is we all want to feel connected to people, to other people, or to a community, and we all want to feel a sense that our life makes a difference. And if we start looking at it in a way of our life is our missionary work, we can take even the most mundane things and we can turn them into these beautiful moments of sharing of ourselves in some way, even if it's just, laughter, getting people to laugh. It could be that you go to the store and you strike up a conversation and you're kind with someone in front of you. and you make them laugh, or you share a moment of dialogue, but you imparted a light energy to them. All of those little things make up the big moments. You know, if you can focus on the little moments, all those little moments become the bigness of your life. So I just wanted to share that story. Again, an old teaching that I live by, but a new teaching to many who are stepping up to the plate and changing their life and wanting to live a beautiful, balanced life, and want their life to be something that they can be proud of. And by doing this, you definitely can. And I know that I think that way all the time, and I've just gotten into a routine where I don't think about it anymore. I've just become that open and, share myself with everyone, and I don't worry about, response. I don't worry about receiving anything in return. I think that's a big key too, is that we give of ourselves asking nothing in return. The joy is in the sharing and in the giving of yourself. And what you'll ultimately find is that in giving of yourself freely without any expectation of a return, you will get that return regardless. Sometimes it's instant, and many times it is instant, and other times it's over a long period of time. It might be a message you get from that person later, or you just give because it feels good to do it. And so that's it. I just wanted to share that moment. I hope that it's helped you, and I look forward to talking to you on the next podcast of Ascension Moment. And again, you can call me for spoken healing to discuss anything that you would like to discuss. Even if it's just talking about the world. This is my spiritual practice. You can reach me at 1-888-673-5060. Thank you, and have a happy new year. Bye-bye.